What's up everyone, Chef Dave back with another cooking video, and today we're going to talk about pizza pull-aparts. It's almost like monkey bread but savory. That's a fun recipe. It's a great recipe to have for get-togethers for adults and kids alike. Pretty easy for the most part. You are making a dough. Now keep in mind, if you wanted to, if you're in a pinch, you could buy a ready-made pizza dough. I know a lot of pizzerias sell it if you give them a heads up. Even some grocery stores sell it. It's really kind of easy to put together. It doesn't take a long time to actually make the dough. The time comes in the rising of the dough, and that is the biggest part of the planning, I'd say. You can also do this overnight. You can make this dough, put it in your refrigerator, let it rise overnight. That works so that you're ready to go the next morning or whenever you're ready to use it. This dough can stay up to 2 days in the refrigerator. It's a little bit different. It's not your basic pizza dough because since it is a pull apart, it has some more fat in it and it uses milk instead of just plain water. That's mostly because you want that kind of textural difference than like a beautifully crispy pizza. It's not really what this is. Again, think of this as like a monkey bread but in pizza format. But it's a lot of fun, like I said, and it's easy to make at home. So let's get into it. Alright, so pretty simply we are going to need 1,400 grams of AP flour, about 800 grams of warmed milk. We want to just warm this in the microwave a little bit. We've got some good olive oil. We've also got some sugar here just to help the yeast rise and to feed the yeast, which we have here. We've also got some salt here to add flavor to our dough. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our warm milk and pour it into our mixing bowl. We're going to add our yeast. And then once we've added our yeast, we're going to top that up with the sugar. And then we're just going to stir this really well. We want to break down the yeast, dissolve it up, make sure it really gets incorporated, make sure the sugar gets totally dissolved. And then once we're done mixing, we're going to set this aside for about 10 to 15 minutes in a warm place with no draft. And then once our mixture has settled in for about 15 minutes or so, we're going to add about 4 tablespoons of good olive oil. We're going to slowly start adding the flour in little by little at first, and then once we get a little bit in there and more comfortable with the bowl, we just kind of pour it all in there. Just get it all in there because we're going to mix it all up, and then we're going to put the salt on top, okay? Never put your salt into your yeast mixture directly. Alright, for this next step, we're going to do a little something I like to call ride the lightning, and that is when you have the max capacity going on your bowl, and that's what we've got right here. We're just going to stir this up until it forms a dough. It's all done on kind of, the second speed, if you will. You're waiting for it to all come together. You could use a bigger KitchenAid, that's not a problem. But once you have this dough formed, everything comes together really well. Look at that. This is a drier dough. It's not like a wet, super hydration dough. You pull it off the mixer, set the mixer aside to give yourself some space, and then you just want to flip the dough out from the bowl. Again, you've got it's a good hydration, but it's not like a wet hydration. It's a little stiffer dough, but that's exactly what you're looking for. You're going to scrape out all those pieces and just drop them back on top, and then you're going to start working your dough. Then you put your dough on your work surface there, just on my pasta board, and you're going to you're going to need this for probably about 10 minutes or so until you start to see it forms a little bit smoother skin as it is there. Everything's nice and amalgamated, and you're going to ball it up. And of course, you can't make a dough without the very classic chef's lap. And once you've completed your proper chef's lap, you're going to take the bowl you made the dough in. You're going to put a good amount of olive oil in there, and then you're going to put the dough basically face down And then you're going to just smush it around, cover it, coat it super well, toss it around. And once you've got it nice and fully coated on all sides so it doesn't stick, you're going to press her down, make sure there's no air gaps or anything underneath. And now you're going to let this rest covered in a warm place, no draft, for 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on your ambient temperature. So once we have our dough doubled in size there, as you can see, really puffy, really strong, we're going to gather all our ingredients that we need for the next step. We have our dough, we've got our grated mozzarella that we just grated by hand, we've got our pepperoni that's pre-sliced, good boar's head pepperoni that I've just quartered up. Got a little mix of like a garlic and herb oil with good dried oregano, which is very important. A little thyme in there, olive oil, and then we have our delicious homemade tomato sauce, which I'll put a link to on the video for. It's absolutely fantastic and a must try. Our first step in the process is we're going to flip out our dough onto our pasta board here, and then we are going to press out all that air, basically just making it into a circle, nothing crazy. And then we're going to take that circle, stretch it out a little bit, and then make kind of almost like a log or a loaf, kind of a ghetto cinnamon roll, if you will. And then we are going to take that log and we're going to bisect it and then bisect it again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our nice sharp knife, we're going to cut it right down the middle. This does not have to be perfect. You're just looking to make pieces that are relatively close to the same size. That's your target. We're going to flatten it out. We're going to bisect it again. And once again, it does not have to be perfect in any way. We're going to start cutting pieces to roll into balls. And as you can see, I'm just kind of eyeing it up. It's not perfect. We're going to cut these down. I forget the exact amount. I think we got about 20, 22 pieces per half. And then to make the balls, we kind of tuck them into themselves, if you will, and then pinch them down on the bottom so that they stay nice and closed. And we're just going to repeat this with each and every one of these. It's a little time consuming, but it's, it's for the best, and it keeps the balls nice and tight and, perfectly formed, if you will, that they can be pulled apart when your job is complete, when the bread is baked. So you really want those nice circles, relatively the same size. Now, once you have everything set, you're going to bring in your large Le Creuset or whatever pan that you have. On the bottom, you're going to take your delicious tomato sauce. You end up probably putting about 5 or 6 nice, healthy ladles into the bottom, and then you're going to spread it out pretty even. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but you're just going to spread it out. And then you're going to put a little bit of cheese on the bottom for flavor. You can put a little Parmesan cheese in there as well. And then you're going to start lining these up. Going to do probably about 4 by 5, about 20 pieces on the bottom. You can just line them up. And it's actually 4 by 6. My apologies. And then you're going to drizzle this delicious oil, garlic, oregano mixer, almost like garlic knots. And then you're going to sprinkle your pepperonis right on top there. Hindsight, I would probably do this in a single layer maybe next time and see how that comes out. But I did like the pull apart aspect of the 2 layers of this. So, but I would love to try it as a single layer and see how that comes out. So then for the second layer, you're just going to do the same thing. You're just going to top them all off. And you're going to repeat that same process. You're going to drizzle that delicious garlic oil over the top. Hit it with some mozzarella. And then top it with the pepperonis. And now you're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes because you want this to start reactivating and growing again. About 30 to 45 minutes in a nice warm place. And then you're going to pop it in your oven about 400 degrees for about 35 minutes or so. You really want it to be done and puffy. And we're coming in hot, people. Look at this thing. Just amazing. Pepperoni pretty toasty on the outside there, but looks beautiful. You can take a temp of this. It should be about 185 to 190 in the middle. That should be your indicator that it is cooked all the way through. But it's super gorgeous. It just smelled absolutely fantastic. Again, I'd love to try it as a single layer, but as you can see shortly, this kind of pull apart method also works. And check this out. Here we go. Pulling that out. And we've got delicious cheesy goodness. And serve some tomato sauce on the side just to get that last dip in. And that's pretty much it, everyone. Fairly simple, like I said. Most of the ingredients are readily available. Some people even have them in their home at all times. It's delicious. It's a fun thing to have. Like I said, great for get-togethers. And it's pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? For those of you that know me, know that I love pizza. All forms of pizza. Cheap pizza, expensive pizza, good pizza, bad pizza. I mean, bad pizza no one really likes, but either way, I just love all forms of pizza. So this is a fun recipe for me to share with you. And don't forget, everyone, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Peace.